Hello, 6th graders. Welcome to Big Ideas Math, Contract Math, Section 2.5, 2012 edition, Solving Equations Using Multiplication or Division lesson. Pause while you write Section 2.5, 2012 lesson in your math notebook. Pause again while you write the lesson objective in your math notebook. Today's lesson objective is to solve equations using the multiplication and division properties of equality. Today we're working on page 78 in your textbook, and I'd like you to start with copying these key ideas from the top of that page. Be sure you copy everything exactly as it appears on the page. The multiplication property of equality says that multiplying each side of an equation by the same number produces an equivalent equation. So this is just like addition and subtraction. So if A equals B, then A times C equals B times C. And division property of equality is almost exactly the same thing. It says dividing each side of an equation by the same number produces an equivalent equation. If A equals B, then A divided by C equals B, and B divided by C equals C. But remember that you have to write this part, that C cannot equal 0, and that's because we can't divide by 0. Because if we try to divide by 0, our answer is undefined. So be sure you write all of that down very carefully. So example 1 is solving equations. Our first equation has letter A, solve x over 3 equal to negative 6. So our first step, obviously, is to write the equation. So we did that. And then we're going to use inverse operations. So we're multiplying each side by 3. So we've got our little red 3's here. And when we multiply each side by 3, our 3's on this side cancel each other out. And then we multiply this side by 3. 3 times negative 6 equals negative 18, so that all simplifies and we get x equals negative 18. And we can do our check, which is plugging the negative 18 back in and checking to be sure that that works. Let's move on to letter B. Solve 18 equals negative 4 times y. And we're going to write the equation. So we did that. And this time we are going to divide each side by negative 4. So since our variable is in a multiplication problem, we have to divide to make it go away. So when we divide, negative 4 divided by negative 4 equals 1, so that goes away, and 18 divided by negative 4 equals negative 4.5. So y equals negative 4.5, and then we check it, and over here in the yellow box is the check. 18 equals negative 4 times y. We plug a negative 4.5 in for the y, and we multiply negative 4 times negative 4.5, and we get a positive 18. And 18 equals 18, so that's correct. Moving on to example 2 on page 79, we have negative 4/5 times x equals negative 8. And we have to write the equation. And then when we multiply each side, we multiply by the reciprocal of negative 4/5. And we do that because when we divide fractions, we always multiply by the reciprocal. That's how we divide fractions. So be careful when you see that you have to divide by a fraction. always remember that you have to multiply by the reciprocal. So when we do that, we know that our negative 4/5 times our negative 5/4 here equals 1, and our negative 5/4 times our negative 8 equals 10. So that's our simplifying step. So the solution is x equals 10. Here's our real-life application in example 3. The record low temperature in Arizona is 1 6/10 times the record low temperature in Rhode Island. What is the record low temperature in Rhode Island? So let's look at the words they've chosen. The record low in Arizona is 1.6 times the record low in Rhode Island. So since they're asking us for the record low temperature in Rhode Island, that's the variable, that's what we're trying to find out. So they have that be the letter. So the letter is T for temperature, and times tells us that we're multiplying, and 1.6 they give us what to multiply, is equals, and they give us the negative 40 over here in the thermometer, so the record low temperature in Arizona. So when we put all of this into an equation, we have negative 40 equals 1.6 times T. So if you were to write that out normally, it would look like this. So you would want to divide each side by 1.6. So negative 40 divided by 1.6 is over here, and 1.6 divided by 1.6, that cancels each other out because it becomes 1. So you just have 1t there. And negative 40 divided by 1.6 equals negative 25. So that's your simplifying step. So the record low temperature in Rhode Island is negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you can believe it, Arizona actually has a lower record low temperature than Rhode Island. That's tough to believe. Your assignment for this lesson is to complete the following on your own problems. Be sure to show your work and be prepared to share during our next class. These problems can also be found on pages 78 and 79 in your textbook if you need them. Remember, to earn credit for viewing this flipped lesson, you need to complete your exit slip, come to our next class prepared with the journal pages or other work from the flipped lesson completed, be prepared with any work that was assigned in the flipped lesson completed, and be prepared with any questions you have for your teacher, and of course, have a good attitude.